And welcome, folks, to the talk show. Let the truth be told. I'm your host, Pastor David. And folks, I want to send my condolences out to the family of Jesse Jackson Sr. He passed away this morning. And we're going to talk about the legacy that he left in the Black community. We're going to talk a little bit more about what's going on with the SAVE Act. So if you ain't got nothing to do, call your friends and let them know. You're listening to Let the Truth Be Told Radio. I'm your host, Pastor David. Y'all come on in. And welcome to the talk show, Let the Truth Be Told. I'm your host, Pastor David. And first, let me give all praises to Yahuwah and Yahusha. That's God in Christ in Hebrew. Well, folks, I know a lot of people haven't heard the news. Reverend Jesse Jackson passed away today, and it's always a sad homegoing when somebody passes away. But Reverend Jackson was an icon. And let me say this, and I want to put it in the right perspective. Reverend Jackson was an icon that seized an opportunity in the civil rights movement to make a name for himself. Reverend Jackson was able to organize a lot of people. But at the same time, what was Reverend Jackson's true mission? So for me, growing up in Chicago, I had a chance to know Reverend Jackson personally. When I worked with Al Sharpton in New York, he and I had a relationship from where I grew up, and he knew my grandmother, Eloise Barton. So I've known Reverend Jackson all the way from Operation Breadbasket. And that was where he had an organization. He was the payee for most of all the seniors at that organization, where he collected food and all of that. For me, Reverend Jackson always had good intentions to do things, but they never flourished in the Black community. And I got to be honest, everything Reverend Jackson did, he did for himself and his family. He talked about issues like voting. He talked about discrimination. Yes, he was with Dr. King, but there was a difference. Dr. King actually did the work, and he died poor. Reverend Jackson took the same tenacity and created a name for himself, and it never reflected in the Black community. And it goes on to say, for sure, as I grew up and became a man who got involved with civil rights, to me, and I'm going to be honest, Reverend Jesse Jackson sold the Black community out a long time ago. And in saying that, I'm going to get my host in and we're going to talk about it. But we also going to talk about, before we get to Reverend Jackson, we're going to talk about the SAVE Act. See, to me, this is totally ridiculous. That the American people are saying, Democratic and Republican, saying they want voter ID. Now, the Democrats have come up and said that Black people are so ignorant that they can't even get an ID. And so the American people have already spoken. And this is the final moment for the Democratic Party, because Why would you vote against something that would secure the ballot box and ensure that only American citizens are voting in these elections? But the truth of the matter is, the Democrats are worried because if they can't have illegal voting or mail-in balloting, they'll lose their organization. And saying that, here we go. Hey, Doc, how you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
And I woke up, it's all good for me. Anytime I get up, I can get to the gym and do my thing. Doc, I want your thoughts on the SAVE Act to the point where, we did a show the other day. And to the American people and patriots across this country, we can actually see that is the Democratic Party now is showing their hand. Why would you fight? Why would you fight against showing your ID to vote and showing and proving that you're an American citizen? Because that's in the Constitution. Only citizens can vote. What's your thoughts on that, Doc?
It's just how let's see, Representative Mike Johnson was saying, goes, you just want to cheat. Just say it. Just say you want to cheat. Just say that you are okay with people who shouldn't be voting in our elections, because guess what? We already have these laws in place. And see, that's where they'll scoff. And they'll say, well, that's already in place. There's no voter irregularities going on. Yes, there are. And they've been going on because, see, you've given these people driver's licenses, right? And the assumption is if you have a driver's license, then you are a naturalized citizen if you are not a born U.S. citizen, right? That's the assumption. Now, in California, it's an honor system where it actually checks the box if you're a citizen or not, but they do not check immigration records. There's no conflict search to find out if these people are actually naturalized. Just because you have a green card, just because you have a visa, just because you're on some type of status does not give you the right to a driver's license and the right to vote. They have circumvented immigration law and they know it. They know what they've done and they don't want to be responsible for it.
And Doc, that's the most saddest thing. You would think that the Democratic Party would be like the Republican Party, and they would be in unison on working together for the greater good for the American people. And I think that's the whole problem that's here. The American people have allowed the two parties to get in control that are supposed to represent us. But what they have done, the Republican Party still holds true to some type of standard of living of the American way of life. But the Democratic Party has went so left, it has aligned itself with all sorts of hate groups, homosexuality. I mean, they've made a deal with Satan that you can actually see that they're doing everything evil. Everything that they're doing has been evil, with the school, with the children, with the homosexuality, with the pedophilia, changing laws, the transgenders. I mean, opening the border so that all these illegals could invade us. All of this was done under the Democratic Party. Afghanistan, the wars, the Russian and Ukraine war. Now we're talking about Israel and the other and Palestine fighting. All of this was done to the American people and patriots across this country. All of it was done under the Democratic leadership.
Now, and they want us to look the other way like nothing to see here.
Common sense would tell you, as a citizen, and I saw how the country was going to hell in the handbasket. Our economy tanked out. I mean, we went trillions of dollars in debt, and not because the American people caused the debt. The debt went to $37 trillion because of fraud. Because of fraud, and we're eating up all of that debt, and politicians are getting rich. The Democratic Party politicians getting rich. Jasmine Crockett been in there, about a year or two or so. She's worth over $15 million.
But nothing to see here. Keep it moving. Ilhan Omar, how do you go from a negative to $30 million? You ain't even been there 10 years. Look,
in
we
2
ain't even gotten
years.
to the stock trading. We ain't even got, look, we ain't got to the stock trading yet. Out of the 10 that did trading stocks, 6 of the 4, there was one, Blumenthal, he made in one stock trade, one y'all, $30 million. Just one stock trade, not 2, not 4, not the 4, close to 4,000 that Rokahana did, making his cool $58 million. What is going on in Washington?
Well,
Oh
you
my
know what?
goodness.
The Democrats ran on the thought to the American people telling us that they were going to have a wealth transfer. They said that the American people would prosper under the Democratic leadership.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't lie to you about a wealth transfer.
Because they were doing it.
Yeah, they
It
were.
was it sure was. It was the biggest transfer of wealth. Yeah, because y'all transferred it. Because
Yeah.
y'all did it. You were responsible for this nonsense.
Well, you know,
Yeah.
that's the thing, and I don't want the American people and patriots across this country to forget what we've been through. You know, this Trump syndrome is really crazy. It is real. It is a real illness that some of the American people are having. But see, this was a ploy by the Democratic Party because, Doc, all they did was everything that happened. Trump, 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 Trump. You know, that's psychological warfare when you drive and talk about an issue so long that people, whether you want to say it or not, you're going to end up saying it anyway. And that's the type of politics they've been using, name calling, ID politics, you know, and that's what they've done. So check this out. I want the American people and patriots across this country. I'm going to play a tape. And it's regarding the SAVE Act. Before we get to Jesse, because Jesse's going to be real juicy down here today, you know, I don't understand how the Democrats are justifying that you don't need an ID. Because what they're basically saying is in this thing. But anyway, let's play it, Doc, and talk about it.
Party lines this week, House Republicans and one Democrat passed the Save America Act, which would impose strict new voter identification rules, including documentary proof of citizenship in person for voter registration.
Yeah. It's the Save America Act, and the Democrats are against it. I heard one of them say, we will stop the Save America Act. No, we're trying to save America. And it has to do with largely voting. And basically, it's got 3 very simple points. It's got voter ID, photo ID, but voter ID with a photo, right? It's got the confirmation of U.S. citizenship. And then you have no mail-in ballots. And there would be no mail-in ballots, very important. That will assure the security of our crooked elections. We have crooked elections.
And just to be clear, the SAVE Act does not include a ban on mail-in ballots, despite what the president just said there in that clip. But the other part of it has been more controversial. It's not just a voter ID bill or
Can you pause her
law
really
that they
quick?
would like to pass. It's also something.
Okay, Doc, I know you
so
wanted to start.
I need the audience to understand. We have absentee ballots that have been around for a long time, and they are predominantly for the military or for those who travel outside of the country and they still want to cast their ballot, but they're still American citizens, right? They don't just live outside of the United States. It's predominantly when people are traveling or they don't know they're going to be available. And so they request an absentee ballot so they can ensure that their vote is counted. Now, here's the thing. They took advantage of mail-in voting during COVID. Did we have mail-in voting the last election in 2024?
No.
Bueller? No, we did not. They had absentee ballots.
Yes.
And they're not going to do the mail-in voting anymore because that's where the problem was.
That's what the problem
was. For Abby to say that was very disingenuous. When they say stuff like that and they do not show you, they do not go to the actual legislation, I can't.
Well, this is CNN, and to the American people who pass across this country, I'm playing this clip, and we're going to expound on it because you see how the mainstream media throws it off and not give you the facts. They're sitting here trying to justify on why you have to show an ID, or no more mail-in ballots the way that they did during COVID, man. And the dog voted, the cat voted, and everybody else voted. Let's play a little
They
bit more.
came back for real. For real. People's dogs, people's pets voted.
I know. They did.
Crazy.
That would require you to show up in person with some proof of your citizenship. And no, your real ID wouldn't count. No, you could not just show up with your driver's license. You would have to bring.
That's a lie, Doc.
Okay, here's the thing. Real ID it is one of the forms. Okay.
Yes.
It's not the only form. And that's the trick in the language, because you have to have a real ID and your place of birth. So if your place and record of birth, let's just say, is not the United States, you then have to show your naturalization status
exactly
as a citizen of this country.
Yes.
Okay. And if you don't have it, you can't vote.
And see,
that's
the thing. That's the safeguard. That's the safeguard that needs to be down. If you can't prove that you're a citizen here, why should you vote? And it's plain to see to the American people and patriots, it is the Democratic Party who do not want it to be a fair election.
They don't.
That's what this problem is.
They have no respect. They have absolutely no respect for the citizens of this country. They are still propping up these illegals and protecting them. So every single time you hear something that goes against your best interest, but they want it in the best interest of people that aren't even from here, remember that.
Yes. And that's why.
Remember that.
Yes. And that's the sad thing, Doc, is a lot of people get sidetracked. They hate Trump so much. The Trump syndrome is real.
Yes, real.
Yeah. Yeah. And you got another clip we're gonna play, but I want to show the American people just how idiotic that the Democratic Party sounds trying to justify the Save America Act.
Passport or your birth certificate. So that's what's made this controversial. And I think it's a real question, a debate to have in this country about whether that is even necessary, Joe.
Yeah, it's great to have a debate, but we have to remember that 80% of the people have a general understanding about what voter ID is. They have an understanding that, voter ID at some form is in about 25 states. I personally am sick of sort of the circles that we always run, where Republicans are saying, this many cases of voter fraud have happened. Democrats will say, well, that's not indicative of, massive voter fraud. I want to hear where in those 23 or 24, 25 states that have voter ID laws in place already, where people are required to show an ID, where is the massive studies of people being disenfranchised? In fact, it's the opposite is true. You remember, I think it was 2021, the MLB All-Star Game pulled out of Georgia because Georgia was implementing voter ID and it was going to disenfranchise voters. The number of gubernatorial voters went from the year before 1.1 million to 1.9. Bakari, your state, I looked it up. South Carolina, because I know they're a voter ID state. They went from 56% voter turnout in the presidential year in 2012 to 61% in 2020 and then like 65% in 2024. Those are more people voting in states that have passed voter ID laws. So this is why I think the majority of Americans reasonably can look at it and say, this is a good thing.
You just wasted about 3 minutes and we're...
Okay, Doc.
No, you wasted 3 minutes because you lost the argument. You're always either looking for Black people can't get an ID. That's a real one. Like, that's a big one. They can't get, wait a minute, they can't get there to vote. They don't know the days to vote. Like, you're always using us as the emotional support pet, but you can't use us anymore because we're voting in mass. So you've lost the argument. So here's my other thing. Then who else is voting?
Exactly.
It's gone up.
And that's the reason.
Because we're not the majority.
Yes.
So
and the numbers, just like he said, the numbers keep going up higher and higher. And is it matching the population in that state?
Come on.
That's what the real deal is. And so
you don't want to say that part.
Exactly. It's not. And that's why you hear this foolishness like what he's about to say.
About voter ID. So the
the fundamental thing of the SAVE Act is requiring proof of who you are.
That's two different things. So voter ID means that you have to have a driver's license or, the real ID that you use.
Understood, yep.
That doesn't count under the SAVE Act. So the SAVE Act, I just want to tell you so the viewers
It does
understand,
count.
means that you have to
It's
have
one
proof of
form of
citizenship.
ID.
You also can't do
Yes.
those things online. So 42
Right.
states out
I
of the
watched
50,
this,
since we're
Rob.
quoting
Watch
numbers of
What's
states,
happening
their
here.
entire online voter registration systems are going to be tossed out the window. That's going to cost states like South Carolina money. The other thing is there are 52% of Americans that are registered to vote right now literally do not have access to an unexpired passport. That's important. 11% of registered voters right now don't have access to proof of citizenship. That's important.
Why
Now,
not?
We're just talking about
Why don't
people,
they have
black,
proof
white,
of
and otherwise,
citizenship?
poor folk,
Do you know how
whatever,
crazy
in
you
that
sound
number.
right
If
now?
you want
Do you
Go
know
ahead,
how
Doc.
crazy you sound right now?
Exactly.
They don't have access to proof of citizenship. Then why are they here?
Exactly.
Why
And
aren't
see,
they deported, sir?
this is the type of rhetoric that I'm talking about because he's trying to throw shade from the truth. The first guy I've already solidified it and said the justified why you need the ID. Now their job is to try to get it to where you got to make people think that, well, maybe that might be right. Maybe somebody might need a special attention. But anyway, let's finish it off and we'll talk about it.
Just a mess.
about the discriminatory effect,
Right.
we're talking about poor people who don't have
Discriminatory
access to those things, to be able to get to the DMV, to be able to get to places where you can get a
Okay.
passport.
Our government expects a lot of us. Every single year, every single person is expected to file their taxes, something that is very complicated.
You can do it
People
online.
have to outsource.
During
COVID.
But you can do it online.
People had to go and get a vaccine in person. I went twice. I had to carry my
What
little
does that have to do with
voting? I had to
voting?
carry my little
Because-
card
because
around.
No, we're way off track on this. No,
we're not.
The government expects
Voting. And basically, it's got three very simple.
Doc. Now you see how that got to be chaotic.
I read through the law. I covered it on my show. It is not that difficult. Like I said, if you have your paperwork in place, if you are a naturalized citizen, you can have a real ID
Yes.
or not, because some people don't have them. You need to have your birth certificate from your origin of birth. Okay.
Yes.
And then you have, if you're naturalized, you have to have your naturalization papers. So if you are not from this country, well, let's say
You're
you've
not gonna
got
be able-
an ID and you've got the birth certificate from your, country of origin, you can't vote. Because
Exactly.
unless you have your naturalization status and papers, you can't vote in our elections, period. And you shouldn't have been. Now, what they didn't tap into is there's 19 states that don't even require ID to vote.
Exactly.
So we haven't even tapped into that yet. Stop it.
But the sad thing of it is that it's clearly a form of how we can steal elections because, with the absentee ballot that they want to use, well, they're down to almost nothing now. This is going to pass because the American people said we want it.
Everybody.
How you going to cheat now? This is why I say to the American people and patriots across this country,
They're running scared. They're trying to
this is
have
the final straw.
fallout. They want a pandemic. They need anything they can to make us stay at home. They're like,
Yes.
they can't vote. They can't vote. The Epstein files. They are trying everything. They are.
But
full
you know
court
what?
press
The
right
sad
now.
thing of it is stuff like the Epstein files are distractions. Because who is going to be prosecuted? Your name on the list. What they going to do? Come after you?
Well, and I talked about this in my after set show. Here's the thing. The lower level minions are protecting the billionaires. And when I say that, I'm not talking about the White House. I'm talking about the other judges and police officers and, lawyers, right? They're running cover for these billionaires who are running around doing all the nonsense because that's their job. To protect them. And the White House bucking the system and saying, hey, let's release all the names, let's release all the files, let's go. Again, you can't do anything without referring it to the FBI. And then after it gets to the FBI from the DOJ, right? Because we still have to have grand jury hearings to even get anything moving.
Well,
all of that muck is what's stopping people from being arrested.
But the thing of it is though, here they are throwing Epstein up. Epstein's supposed to be dead, which he is not. He's still on that island doing whatever that he's doing.
Mr.
You know what I'm saying? And so, really, it was a very, very strategic way that President Trump played them, because first he had like he didn't want to release the files, and they were saying Trump sent them, and so they wanted to get them out there so quickly. And then finally, when he released it and they found out that it was mostly all Democrats and everybody else who the elite on there, then they wanted to shut it down. So it basically was a distraction, because listen to this, folks. They still stealing money out of Minnesota. They still stealing money out of Illinois. They still stealing money out of California. All of these things that are going on are mere distractions. And I can tell you, the Democrats are stealing money like crazy, because they know that their time is short as far as staying in office. And in this investigation, it's culminating, man. And we're going to see a lot where that $36 trillion in fraud went to, that we have to swallow as citizens in this country because of these corrupt politicians. Now, Doc, I want to move along. I got a clip I want to play, and I want your thoughts on it. See, Hillary Clinton is still running around like she's a state spokesperson for the United States.
A statesman.
She ain't no damn statements.
She needs to stop. There's rules. There's rules.
You know, they didn't even, her and Bill Clinton been over there to Epstein Island with the little boys and the girls and all the rituals. Because, see, there was a lot of demonic rituals that took place. Yes, where they was drinking blood and all sorts of stuff was going on over there. I heard they was killing kids and all sorts of stuff. You know, so it's coming out. But when they was called to come before the Congress, and this is why I said this Democratic Party needs to be disbanded, because there's nobody honest in it. They was running like hell to keep them coming before Congress. But after they did get there, now she's all over the place like she's a statesman for the United States. But she went to this thing in Munich and she got ate alive. And I want to play a little clip of that before we get to Jesse. I want you to check it out. And let me set this up. So they're over there on a panel, and they're talking about President Trump, and Hillary Clinton goes crazy. Here it is. Check it out.
In trying to resolve the Ukraine conflict following Russia's invasion of Ukraine, its apparent thrust to accept Russia's territorial encroachment on Ukraine. And to you, I absolutely, I understand, and we've had various versions of it already, your characterization of a clash between conservative and liberal values being, at the heart of what's going on in the West. But in this particular one, a security issue, one that involves international law, whether countries still respect those international laws laid down after the Second World War, do you think that that brings a new rift within the West? Ukraine, the U.S.'s position. Yes, I am.
I think that the Trump administration's position toward Ukraine is disgraceful. I think the effort to force Ukraine into a surrender deal with Putin is shameful. I think the effort that Putin and Trump are making to profit off the misery and death of the Ukrainian people is a historic error and corrupt to the nth degree. And so I believe Ukraine is fighting for our democracy and our values of freedom and civilization on the front lines, losing thousands of people and having their country destroyed by one man's mania to control them. And I think Trump either doesn't understand or could care less about that suffering. So that's what I think.
And so,
okay, Doc.
She's trying to run again. She's trying to get her hat in the ring. She's trying to position herself. Stop it.
Well,
you got us in this mess with Ukraine. Let's talk about, go back to 2011. We all was sending them billions of dollars that we didn't know about. And then we finally caught wind of it. We're like, whoa. And
before it was even a war.
Biden was back in office running cover, and even said when Trump was going to be in office, he was like, don't tell him anything. And that's when he was on his way out the door as vice president. He made a note to not tell President Trump anything about what was going on in Ukraine with Russia. Just let him just hide it, basically, and let him deal with it.
Well, it was a money drain. It was a money drain to the taxpayers
system.
Yes. You know, we did a show about how all the money and the fraud that was in Ukraine, how much money was going. We did a show about that, you know, and it was the Democrats that allowed that. That was under Joe. That was under Barack Obama that the money started going there. So you see how they gaslight the American people, like we so stupid. And the jig is up. We can see, but the Trump syndrome, you see how she went in, the first thing she said was Trump.
And Trump, I was like, everything can't be, I hate Trump. Like, seriously, you need to have a better policy position than I hate Trump.
Yes.
And all this is his fault. Because actually what he did was he cut a deal, with Russia and Ukraine for minerals, so that it wasn't a something for nothing situation. And so Russia would be like, okay, cool. We can have this little trade deal going on. We don't need to encroach. We'll leave y'all alone as long as Ukraine does what they're supposed to do. Because see, Ukraine kept backing off. They kept saying, yes, we'll go in. And then they kept doing stupid stuff. All right.
Yep. And so, but you know what? These are the intricate details that you're not going to get at the news with everybody else. See, we breaking it down so people can get a good, clear understanding on actually how the American people are being played. But this whole woke thing, see, all other countries are looking at us and how America is dealing with the woke thing. So when Joe Biden got in office, after Barack Obama set everything in place and got everybody at DEI and got it in the schools and everything else, other countries was looking at it and said, America's lost its mind. But you won't know that what other countries would think, because the media itself curtails the ideas. It curtails the truth. And this is one place where Hillary was trying to break down and tell the lie about what she and what's going on. But this is what happened.
To the conservatism and liberalism clash within the West. But thank you for that. Peter, do you agree that the Trump administration's actions on Ukraine have produced a rift in the West?
Well, first, I think you really don't like him.
You know, that is absolutely true. But I really, not only do I not like him, I don't like him because of what he's doing to the United States and the world. And I think you should take a hard look at it if you think that there is something good that will come out of it.
Peter,
what I think Trump is doing in America, I think it is reaction for something for some policies that really went too far from the regular people, too far from reality. So, you know, we saw the cancel culture. We saw the woke revolution. I don't agree with the gender revolution, the climate alarmism.
Which gender? Women having their rights?
No, we're talking about.
I think there are two genders. So, but some of us think that there is more than one, or more than two gender. I think there is male and female, and the rest probably is a social construct. So this is something that went too far.
But does that justify selling out the people of Ukraine who are on the front lines dying to save their freedom and their two genders, if that's what you're worried about?
Can I please finish my points? I'm sorry that it makes you nervous. I'm really sorry for that.
It makes me nervous. It makes me
but seriously, can we let Peter finish, please? Can we let Peter finish, please?
I have to say one more thing. You said that.
Hold up, Doc. I got to stop it right there. You see how Hillary Clinton tried to stop him from saying what he was saying, and the moderator said, "Hold up, wait a minute, let him finish."
Let him finish. She's used to see. Here's the thing with that cult, and I'm gonna call it what it is. And she's a part of it. They shout other people down, and they don't allow them to say everything in context. So the more that they shout them down and that person has to keep going back to repeat what they say, they just expect that person to just kind of lie down and give up to them. It is a tactic from Rules for Radicals. She is who she is. She hung out with Saul Alinsky. Okay. That's one of her mentors. That's one of her heroes. All right. Let's talk about that.
But you know, it's the same thing when earlier in the other clip, when the guy started talking about the SAVE Act, you see how all the Democrats start hollering and screaming at him when the woman was saying, hey, you know what? I had to have my vaccination ID. You enforced that. So, you know, so that is a tactic that they use to try to stop when the truth is being said. Let's check it out, and then we're going to move on to Jesse.
Ukraine fights for our future and for our freedom. I think first, Ukraine fights for Ukraine's future, Ukraine's freedom, and Ukraine's sovereignty and independence. So we should help them, of course, but what I see on some people in the West, they are trying to help the Ukraine. But that's another question. I don't know if Trump's administration is helping the Ukraine to stop the war. I believe that there is such an approach. I don't see any other strong geopolitical player who would be able to force Russia to stop killing the Ukrainian people and stop destroying their country. I don't see. Maybe China, but China makes nothing. I don't know if the pressure, if Trump is forcing Russia in the way that they will stop the war. I don't know. I only see that the only Americans right at the moment can make it. I see the dialogue.
Do you think Europe could?
Okay, Doc, your thoughts on that? We're gonna move on.
I mean, he does make a valid point, right?
Yes,
now.
he does.
The thing is, he walked into a middle of a conversation that he was not briefed on. Let's just keep it clear. Let's just make it simple. Okay, he walked in on the middle of a conversation he was not briefed on, and he is negotiating in the best way he knows how. But see, he's negotiating against NATO. He's not negotiating with just Russia and Ukraine. All right. They won't let Russia into NATO, and yet they want to talk smack about Russia. I was like, why don't you just have him be a part of y'all's group? And then that way y'all can kind of control Russia, because he doesn't want to be controlled, because he doesn't want the woke stuff in Russia. He doesn't want the homosexuality in Russia in mass, the way they have it in NATO, right? Because in Ukraine, they're okay with that. And that's why with Russia, and that's just one contention, he's like, look, if you don't get it together, we're going to save the people that are a part of Russia, that are in Ukraine, that are suffering at your hand. Because there's a lot going on here. But America, look, we were kind of trash monkeys in this. We were trash monkeys.
We was more than trash monkeys, because what they
all
did,
those labs over there studying on people. We ain't even talking about that, but this is, hey, this is the breadbasket, so we have to protect it. How are you protecting the breadbasket and having massive wars at the same time? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't. We're not being told the truth on that one, in my opinion.
But you know, they had the those labs over there with the COVID. You know what I'm saying?
Biolab.
Then on top of that, they were stealing money so crazily that the prosecutor who said America was over there with Burisma, the company that Joe Biden's son had over there, and was draining money out. Zelensky was a homosexual dancer, and they made him president so that they could introduce homosexuality to the Ukraine, just like they did in America. The woke idea. That's what he's talking about. He's saying, you know what? Y'all went too far with that.
You did. They did. And they know they did, because it's a cult.
Yeah, they did. It's a cult.
It is a cult, and it has policy. How do you write policy for people that are involved in a relationship like that? But you did it.
But they did it because
they made them a community, and you did.
Well, they wanted to force it into the lifestyles of the American people. That's
make it normal. It's not normal.
And so that was the issue there. And when they seized the opportunity under Joe Biden, when they stole the election, they knew then whatever that they turned around, that Trump, if he got back in, was going to turn it around back to the way it should be, back to the normal life. Get the homosexual stuff out of here. There's only two genders in America that God created. That's a man and a woman. There is no third gender. And so under the Biden administration, they were able to create those laws to justify it being a third creation under Barack Obama. That's where it came from. And so the American people, we can clearly see now that the Democratic Party has taken up demonic ties, because how is it possible you can take prayer out to schools, but you can let sadism in the schools, you can let homosexuality in the schools, you let pedophilia into the schools, you got hardcore porn in the schools, you got DEI teachers that can't even teach a dog how to sit, teaching your children. So all of this was a way of normalization against the American people. Just force it on them. We're going to make their kids, we're going to take their kids, we're going to teach them to make decisions at 5 years old and know what lesbians is.
But they did it. Yeah, but they did it alongside cancel culture. So they could demonize anybody who went against them.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
You're the crazy one because you're not going along with this depraved behavior. That's unnatural and it isn't normal. It's not.
It is not.
It isn't. Sodomites are talking.
That's where it came from. That's where it came from.
You
it's
know,
the Sodomites.
A lot of people, it's like, well, you know, I'm not a Christian and it's always claiming to be a Christian country. We have freedom of religion here. Okay.
Yes.
And do some people take it too far with their Christianity? Yes, they do. But here's the line. You are supposed to be a decent person to other people. People are allowed to have their freedom of religion or beliefs, but you cannot force somebody to believe something. And that's the trick in this whole LGBTQ stuff. They're like forcing you to believe something because now there's policy behind it. And you cannot do that. That's why we have, they always bring up the 10th Amendment when it's convenient for them. That's why we have it. Because you're not supposed to make laws that encroach upon other laws of the people for freedom. Okay?
Well, you know, it was a long time coming, man. I saw it coming with Barack Obama, and I always refer back to him. It had been coming a long time ago. They were waiting for the perfect opportunity, you know. And when Barack got in, he really hurt the Black community. He didn't help it. He hurt it. Because everybody was waiting for him to be the great savior, to create economics, to bring the Black community back. And what he did was instill homosexuality and created the worst police citizen relationship between the citizens that it was. And this is the result of we're seeing it. And with President Trump in office now, and he's fixing the problem. They don't want it. They want to make it worse than what it is. They want it to where your children run your household and tell you what to do and tell you that they want sex change operations. That's what they want. They want this unnatural lifestyle. And I think, and I praise President Trump for turning back the way God made them. Marriage between a man and a woman. Children know their place. And that's what the demos are really having a fit about, especially now with the borders and stuff all closed. And the illegals being ran out of this country. Now they got to try to figure out a way, how can we cheat? Because we'll never get in office again because the American people know that we are a pack of wolves that don't give a crap about nothing but filling their own pockets. Now we're going to move right on along, folks, to the second half of the show. Reverend Jesse Jackson. Now, the name of this show is Let the Truth Be Told. And I'm going to keep it 100% real with you. When Reverend Jackson first started in the civil rights game, he was hungry because he learned from Dr. King. But I heard him say this out of his own mouth. He said, Dr. King died broke. We was at an event together. Dr. King he died broke. Ain't no way in hell that I'm going to die and don't make no money off Black people. That's out of his mouth. Jesse Jackson's mouth. So let me tell you how I know Jesse. After Dr. King was killed, there was a void for leadership. Ralph Abernathy took over the SCLC. Jesse was pissed off about that. He tried to get with the NAACP. That didn't work because they wasn't having him. They felt that he was too radical. So he came home to Chicago and he created an organization, a couple of them. One was a social organization. I can't think of the name of it, but the main organization was called Operation Breadbasket. During Operation Breadbasket, they wasn't getting no grant money. They wasn't getting nothing. And most of Jesse's money was coming from the seniors who was following his church. See, he had a way of making good speeches. This is where Barack Obama got his bullshit from. He got it from Jesse. Jesse making good speech, telling everybody what he is going to do for the community, taking up money. This was the first time I ever seen some foolishness like this. Me and Jesse was in Rock Island, Illinois together. And there was a room full of people. And this is what he said. He gave a good fiery speech. And after that, he said, now, anybody in here with $100, raise your hand. And those poor people raised their hand that had $100. Keep your hands up. Who in here got $50? Raise your hand. And people with $50 hold their hand up. Keep your hands up. Who in here got $25? All the way down to $5. Everybody in there holding their hand up. And then he told the guys that was with him, okay, that's the donation y'all about to make. And the guys go pick the donation up. See, Jesse Jackson,
ugly.
That's true. I've seen it wherever he went. He did that. Marvin Sapp just did the same stuff in the church. See,
he did.
These things, these old tactics that the poverty pimps made back in the day never benefited the community. Now, to the American people and patriots across this country, you would think that an icon like Jesse Jackson would have spoke out against all these people coming into the Black community and taking over and not reinvested into Black people. You would think that a person like Al Sharpton, who's supposed to be a spokesperson for Black people, but he ain't saying nothing about the homosexuality or the transgenders. They're not kicking against it because Jesse Jackson
all that. They're supporting all that nonsense.
Because Jesse Jackson, when he left Operation Breadbasket, he started Operation Push and the Rainbow Coalition. And this is where I'm going to start Jesse out to our viewers. This is Jesse Jackson.
This morning, the world mourning the loss of a civil rights giant.
Our flag is red, white, and blue, but our nation is rainbow. Red, yellow, brown, black, and white. We're all precious in God's sight.
Okay, Doc, your thoughts on that? That's Jesse.
So I grew up with this, right? And that's what I thought it was for. But when you retrospect, he was actually building the groundwork for the LGBTQ community.
Yes, he was. That's what he was doing. He was building the groundwork for the LGBT. And Black people
back, like, how did the rainbow even get into that area?
Because Jesse was bisexual. Jesse was having sex with women. He was having sex with men. It's all coming out, man. He was a piece of crap, man. He never did nothing to help the Black community. Do you think here I am fighting like hell to get Black men out of prison from the 94 crime bill? Where is he at? His ass been sitting here all the time. Why hasn't he called me and said, Pastor, that's a righteous thing. We're going to support you on that. I haven't heard from him. I haven't heard from Al. I haven't heard from none of the bullshit preachers. Jamal Bryant, you would think that as many Black men and women that are locked up and our children are being not educated. Crime is running rampant in the streets. Where are our pastors at? Where are our great icon leaders like Jesse Jackson? What did they say? This is what Jesse said.
Reverend Jesse Jackson was one of the most prominent politicians in the 80s and 90s, blazing the trail for generations to follow. All of his life, the Reverend Jesse Jackson preaching, exhorting, demanding justice in a quest to help his people and nation overcome.
We ain't the bottom, we the foundation.
Always marching, civil rights nonviolent soldier. There he was, shoulder to shoulder with Martin Luther King Jr. after witnessing the beatings of Bloody Sunday on television. Jackson eventually became one of the top lieutenants in the critical Southern Christian Leadership Conference, which challenged the Jim Crow South's withering oppression. A witness to history, he was there on that fateful April evening when King was struck down by an assassin's bullet. After a leadership struggle with King's successor, Reverend Ralph Abernathy, Jackson split from the SCLC and formed a new organization, People United to Save Humanity, PUSH.
Black, beautiful.
He broke boundaries in politics, twice running for president. First in 1984 under the banner of a Rainbow Coalition. In 1988, he was for a time the Democratic Party's frontrunner for the presidential nomination, before eventually losing the nomination to Massachusetts Governor Michael Dukakis.
Yep.
He should have lost his 501c3 then. Jesse should have been stripped by the IRS when he ran for office. The Rainbow Coalition, which took donation money through the IRS, he should have lost that because he became a Democratic Party leader.
I'd rather go down in the stirring fight than drowse to death at the sheltered shore.
At times, he was a spiritual advisor. He saw one of his hopes realized on election night in 2008 in Chicago's Grant Park.
America, I have never been more hopeful.
I was there.
He left as President-elect Barack Obama delivered his victory speech. Through it all, Jackson's faith and hope in what America could be endured.
Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive.
Okay, Doc, your thoughts on that?
I told people on my show that not everybody has the warm fuzzies for Reverend Jackson. Not everybody does. You know, I was like, we're going to let him rest in peace. But just know that after that happens, people are going to come for him because there were a lot of things that he did, to your point, Pastor, that did not benefit Black Americans. And yet he continued to use Black Americans, just like liberals, right?
Yes.
To push an agenda.
Well, see, this is how I know. Hey, Dre, welcome to the show, man. You got it. You got it, huh?
We can't hear you. Change your setting. Yeah, change your setting on your computer. It probably isn't plugged into here. I know it's weird. Like I
Can
said,
you hear
I have to change my settings.
So this to the American people and patriots across this country. I grew up in a political family here in Chicago, the Barton family, the Lowry family. My grandmother was the second lady ever elected to city council. And I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say it, and I'm going to keep it 100 with you. When Jesse Jackson, before he started Operation Push, he had an organization called Operation Breadbasket.
Yes.
And this is where he took a lot of food. He's supposed to be feeding the Black community. He got people to come in with vendors and all like that. And on Sundays, Saturdays, he would give out the food to the needy families, which was a good thing. At the same time, under the undertow, also what Reverend Jackson did was he was taking seniors' money. He was saying that if they were going to be a part of his organization, then the Social Security checks and all of that, he had to be the payee over their money. So the checks came directly to Jesse first, and then he doled out what he wanted to do to the seniors that was in the organization. So that's how Jesse started getting his money. Till finally, when he got Operation Push together, after he started building the relationships with the Democratic Party, when he swore to Bill Clinton and all of them, when he ran for president, that he would help promote the LGBT group, along with Hillary Clinton and all of them. Because, see, I watched it. I watched him grow up. And at the same time, Jesse Jackson would never do nothing for the black community. He would always take interest in a case. Somebody would get hurt. A company would be go on strike, like Mitsubishi. I'm going to tell you a perfect example. As I grown and I watched Jesse Jackson grow up, do nothing for the black community, I became the president of the NAACP. Now, Jesse and I had a relationship because of my grandmother, Eloise Barton, and Push. I was always told that you can never trust him because he don't give a crap about the people before himself. So he acquired a lawsuit against Budweiser. The lawsuit never settled, but what happened was Jesse came out of Budweiser with a brewery that he gave to one of his sons that failed. Anytime a situation would happen, Jesse Jackson would come in to be the mediator of the situation. And what he would do in turn, when they figured out what Jesse wanted, they would pay Jesse, and then your case would dissolve. It would disappear. Case in point. In the 80s, there was a company called Mitsubishi. Y'all might know about them. Y'all drive their cars. They opened up a plant in Bloomington, Illinois. That was my territory as the NAACP president in the Quad Cities. When they called me, the union called me and asked me to support them, I said yes. Me and my people went down there. We helped organize the strike. We sat down at the table with Mitsubishi. And I'm saying, why not give the workers what they need so that they can survive, because you're gonna make money, right? And they was going. They were saying, okay, we're gonna solve this. When we almost got to the table to solve it, Jesse Jackson came in and took over the case. The stupid union workers thought that his name was going to make them settle. And listen to this. When Jesse Jackson replaced the NAACP at the bargaining table, it was about a week later, they paid Jesse Jackson off, and those workers got the worst contract they ever had in their lives. So it has never been about him doing the right thing when needed to be done for black people. And my thing is now, all of these years he has been sitting there watching the black citizens, watching the black community die. What has he done, Doc? What has he done? To people watching my show, what has Reverend Jackson done to curtail crime in Chicago? He gets over $7 million a year for Operation Push. It's no more than a bullshit museum. They don't address any issues in the community. They partner with banks and everybody else paying Jesse and them to keep black people in a place of poverty. And with all the power that Reverend Jackson's supposed to have, do you think the black community would be in this condition, Doc? Your thoughts on that?
No, I mean, here are the sad facts about a lot of the leaders, I should say, a lot of the black leaders put in place. The ones that were not killed and left behind were the ones that were used to corral the black people, to give it a, how should I say, it was like a appearance of leadership and appearance of you are represented, but nothing's happening. But as long as we can give you like a shiny new, hey, we have this little bit for you over here, or hey, we have that little, it was basically just kind of keeping us pacified. That's about the best word that I can come up with. But their job was to make sure that we never got anything. That was their job. They were placeholders. Okay. It was like, well, you can go to the Reverend Jackson and you can go to Al Sharpton, and they're doing great things for black people. No, they were not. They never were. They were doing everything for other people, illegals. and the LGBTQ community. And that's what they were tasked with. You got to make these people believe that you are for them, even though you are leading them to their own demise. The whole thing happening with Home Depot and Target and all that other stuff Al Sharpton is doing, he cares nothing about Black people. He's pushing the LGBTQ community. That's why he's there. People are like, yeah, we're not shopping at Target. Good. You shouldn't
But
be.
you know what?
But you shouldn't be because of DEI. You should be because Target is against you with this LGBTQ stuff. Black people, why are you even there?
Exactly.
Why are you even there?
Now, and you know, see, I'm not talking from what I don't know, because I was Al Sharpton, National Crisis Director, for about a year.
Okay.
Out of New York. And I'm gonna post up on my Facebook page. Y'all later on go check this out. But I'm gonna post pictures of me and Jesse and Al all together. See, when I got into the civil rights game, I was in the Quad Cities, Illinois. And so because of the fact that I ended up always coming back to Chicago to deal with political issues, I had a lot of people here who would call me and ask me to help them. Thus, I would come to the city, and when I was getting ready to handle business with my lawyers, Jesse and Reverend Sharpton always would come as if they were going to support me, but at the same time, they would backdoor me when I would get things set up to get justice. They are backdoor me and move me out the way so they could keep everything copacetic. See, I'm not talking about from what I don't know. I work with these two Negroes. They know me. Every time I come to push, Jesse would say, you got to watch out for him. That's because I didn't play the game.
Yeah.
There were several times that me and Jesse had words to where I told him I would stomp a mud hole in him, right to his face. And so let's be for real. Jesse was a con man. He was a con man of the worst. He used Donald Trump for about a year and a half in his buildings, paying no rent, and then he called Trump a racist. Al Sharpton the same way. As long as Trump was feeding them and helping the Democratic Party, Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, he was their friend. But the moment he said, I'm not down with the LGBT, that's what this whole thing is about, Doc. That's why I keep saying, to the American people and patriots across this country, this never was about COVID. This was good and evil. This was the sodomites trying to position themselves to take over the world. And so when you got Barack Obama in office and Big Mike sitting up in there that deceived the American people, two Black men being married and running the country, that's the problem. This whole thing has been about LGBT group. Jesse Jackson started it way back when with the Rainbow Coalition. Al Sharpton pushed it, who married a transgender. Oh, yeah, Al, your secret's out on you, bruh. I worked in New York with you. I know the game you played. That's why I left New York, because I said to myself, I'm here to work and I'm here to do what's right by the American people. A lot of the cases that Johnnie Cochran took, I investigated them first and then handed them over to Attorney Cochran, because I was his crisis director. So I'm not just saying stuff out of like I hate somebody. I'm telling the American people the truth. Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton were nothing but poverty pimps. They used the American people, especially Black people, to build an empire up on fakeness and con artistry. Because my question to those who would say, well, man, he don't like Jesse Jackson. He talking bad about Jesse Jackson. My question to you, Andre, since you just got here.
Okay.
You've been around a minute.
How you doing?
Is our society, the Black society, in the worst condition that you've ever seen before in your life?
Looking at history, Pastor Laurie, I would have to say yes. Because we know that between 1924 and 1965, we saw the largest economic boom when we lowered immigration. So yes, the answer is yes. And we've seen that in the 1960s and early 70s, the decline of Black Americans in the country once we kind of loosened up some of these requirements. of legislation around immigration. And, you know, one of the things I like to also address today is a lot of things around immigration. Jesse Jackson was not a titan of, because he believed in this rainbow coalition and organization that would bring Black and brown people together. But he wasn't totally bad on immigration, because one of the things that I've talked about, and I didn't know that he talked about until later on, is that he talked about creating pipelines to bring Americans, Black and brown, into our workforce. And in 2014, he spoke out against H-1B visas and how companies were utilizing these visas to basically edge out Americans from the STEM and IT industries and computer industries and technology industries. So not everything he's done on immigration has been terrible. And as we look at him as an individual and as an icon, there might be some disagreements that we have on his policies and the way he did things, and not everything that he did improved the Black community. But he did more than sit on the sidelines. And a lot of people complain about what's going on, but they don't take any action. And one of the things that President Trump did today is he honored this man. He was like, hey, I knew this guy personally, and I know that he's been someone that's been a go-getter, who's someone that's extremely gregarious. So, you know, I think there's two things that we can do today. We can honor him for his overall life achievement, and we can also speak out about some of the things that maybe weren't so positive as well.
Yeah, not everybody, like I said on my show, not everybody had the warm fuzzies, and it's okay.
Yeah,
I'm just saying it's okay to not have the warm fuzzies, because it's better to remember people honestly, than lie and then have to go back and say the truth.
That's right.
Don't do that.
Well, my thing is this, guys. Let me say what good about Jesse Jackson. Jesse Jackson took the American people, especially Black people, by storm after Dr. King died.
Yes.
He talked about issues and he addressed issues. But when he addressed these issues, some things changed. But every time there was an issue, he always got paid. It never was the genuine follow through to situations.
No,
you understand what I mean?
He was paid opposition to us.
Exactly. That's the point.
Placeholder. That's why I'm saying that was his role. His role was not leader, placeholder.
But it was the ideology of the situation that made him seem like he was addressing the issues for Black people as a whole, like he was really going to do something. And yet he came out and he spoke and he talked and he gave fiery speeches. But at the end of the day, nothing happened to improve the quality of life for Black people.
That's what it wasn't meant to do. It wasn't meant to do that.
And I have to say, if any of our viewers have like examples of things that he did do, we'd like to hear them.
Yeah. And I mean, here's what he did do. I think he changed the culture of how we view Black leadership.
Right.
That's what he did do, because Black leadership was no longer viewed as a poor man's game, right? It was viewed as you can be on the world stage as a Negro, right? You can sit next to the president and be his spiritual advisor. You can be more than what you see. So in ways he did well, but here's the thing. Now that we are figuring things out and we know how to be successful around the system, that's why they're mad. Okay? Because it's like, oh, I don't need you anymore. All I have to do is just turn this camera on, get a YouTube channel, and talk.
Yes, exactly.
Right? I don't need to be on NBC, CBS, or ABC for people to hear me.
But see,
right?
Jesse Jackson,
around the system.
For me, and I know him and I watched him, Jesse Jackson used the system to bring about issues that Black people were facing, but he never brought solutions to those problems.
Right.
And he
brought it up.
always got paid off. He always got paid off to fatten his pockets, but he never took a payoff to fix the community.
No.
That's the point that I'm having. And so a lot of people was disengaged with Jesse Jackson because there was a lot of key issues in the black community, just like the police brutality. Where Jesse and them at? When it was happening, police was beating black people. Jesse and them, once Dr. King was killed, they went to just marching. We just gonna march. What effectiveness has marching done? He done had Negroes marching for 40 years. Every time something happened, we gonna have a march. But what came out of the march after everybody? That's just like the Million Man March. After them Negroes got together, a million Negroes got in Washington, D.C., Minister Farrakhan and Spike Lee and Charles Dutton. I was in the room when Charles Dutton and Spike Lee made a dollar bet that they could get 1 million Negroes to Washington, D.C. I was in the room with Charles Dutton and Spike Lee. That was the bet. And they were able to do it. They brought Minister Farrakhan in, and Farrakhan people was walking around with baskets full of money, people donating. And then when the Million Men March was over, they went back to their respective black communities. What happened?
They did nothing. Because it wasn't about getting anything done. It was about having an event. Like I said, you can dangle things in front of the black community, making it look like things should be happening. We've got a black caucus, right?
Yep.
We've got all these things, technically, NAACP,
all of them.
We've got all of these things set up to give it the appearance that there is actually somebody there for us, and nothing is happening. And so that's when it's like, okay, you got to wake up. They are not here to help you. You have to look at helping yourself. You do. Yes. In this climate, right? There aren't no leaders, and that's okay. Because now that he's gone, we were talking about this, like, who does the torch go to? There's no torch anymore. The torch is gone out. Okay?
Well,
there's no torch. Stop looking for somebody. Don't you look to Al Sharpton for nothing. No.
What we going to do with Al Sharpton? Al Sharpton to transform himself into a damn ant. He looked just like a big head ant walking around.
All I'm saying is,
what have they been saying?
No longer look to organizations or one person. This is going to be about who's running for office, where are you running for office, and can we support you? Like Dr. Pamela Denise Long, she's running for Senate in Illinois. She's running for Dick Durbin's seat. Who is supporting her? Right?
Exactly.
Because yes, she's representing Illinois, but you know what? She's going to affect all of us,
right?
With the legislation. But who's running for governor? Who's running for state and house representative? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, who's going to do the work? Nobody's coming to save you. Nobody. They've proven it.
Well, you know, it's just like the torch passing thing. I've been around these leaders a long time, and you know what? I didn't wait for them to pass no torch to me. I started making it happen. I just started doing the work. I started engaging the community. I started getting lawyers who would work with me, and we filed lawsuits. We got lawsuits all over the country with the Living and Driving While Black Foundation. That's why I left New York, because the National Action Network was a fraud. They weren't actually trying to help people. They're doing the same thing that Ben Crump is doing. But y'all know Ben Crump. Yep. He'll be in your town tomorrow if somebody died. But out of all the money that Ben Crump has made, what one penny has he put back into the black community?
None. Zero.
Okay, Al Sharpton, out of all of these years, being the good speech giver, I worked for him for about 1.5 years, man, and I figured it out. It was all bullshit. These national leaders didn't care about black people. They cared about the money they can make off black people. They support the Black Lives Matter. They're part of it. They getting paid to support it because Black Lives Matter took a playbook out of Jesse's and Al's. Make black people think that you're going to do something for them and don't do nothing and collect the money. That's what they did.
Yes, that's what it is. And everybody, just so you know, that little zero that I just made, that's not an Illuminati sign. I was actually just making a zero, just a goose. Because see, y'all will take that and clip that. Oh my God.
You know, and so that's my point, man. You know, like I said, I know Jesse personally. I know his son, Yusuf. That's the one he gave the brewery to, Yosef. He gave him a whole brewery, a Budweiser brewery, after we threatened a boycott to not drink Budweiser beer. Kid Rock ain't the only one ever had a boycott. Budweiser wasn't putting no money into the black community. They was taking it out. Jesse threatened a lawsuit. And then after he threatened a lawsuit, Jesse calmed everybody down. And then the boycott was over. And then Jesse Jackson got a brewery, a Budweiser brewery in Chicago for his son. See, I know everything. I know everything. So when he dies, to me, there is no big emotional feeling for him, for me, because he didn't do nothing but get rich off black people. He sold the black community out, but he made black people think that he was actually going to do stuff for the black community. He raised all sorts of hell, and when he went to the negotiation, he got paid. The black people got sold out. So what is his fruit? What has he done? Name anything he done to uplift the black community. I'm waiting, either one of y'all. What has he done? I mean, y'all see him. Y'all see him. Everybody, y'all see him. What has he done to build relationships with the black community and other races, not only in America, but across the world? One of y'all, whatever. Y'all talk about.
I mean, like I said, the Rainbow Coalition, when I growing up, you know, we were bamboozled, we'll just say that. And we were made to believe that it was really about coalescing with other races, right? Because we would call our family the Rainbow Coalition because we had so many diverse ethnicities within our family. So we would call ourselves that. But now looking back at it, it was ushering in something very nefarious and evil. It's just really sad to really look back and say, well, what good did he do? Like I said, the one good thing that he did do is he changed the face of how people view Black leaders after Martin Luther King, and not in a bad way, but in a way of like, we can still be senators. We can still be, you know, pastors to the president. We can still be other things beyond who we are. It's just a matter of seeing yourself in the seat and getting there, right? Because nobody's going to get you there. Right. And that was the thing about him. We didn't see the behind the scenes, but now that, you know, we know all the COINTELPRO stuff, we know they were positioning people in certain places. To do certain now, but it doesn't stop you from actually doing your best to get to where you need to be to help others. Just saying. Right. That's the good that he did.
Well, we've seen, as Dr. Nichols has eloquently said, that he created a platform for Black Americans to be looked at differently as leaders, as people that can create networks to get change, to potentially get change in the community. So we've seen what it takes. I think that we can look at his playbook and see what worked and what didn't work. And the next person that kind of steps into that role, or if it's the American people themselves that kind of look at what he did and start to take action and build coalitions on their own, you can use that playbook to build a better future. I think that's what we can say that he's done.
And you know what? Let me say the positive side. See, what Jesse and them did was created young leaders like me, because I detested the fact that they did not do the work that they said that they were going to do for the Black community. That's why I got involved with the civil rights thing. For the simple reason is, I want to be the person that do exactly what I say I'm going to do. If I'm going to fight this, I'm going to make sure that we get some results out of it. But what Jesse and them did was good. They opened the door for Black leadership. They made a place in history. Maxine Waters out in California when she was young, Shirley Chisholm when she ran for president. They made it possible for other young Black leaders to step into leadership positions who were Black, who never had those opportunities before. They did that. They were allowed to be able to move into that position. But the problem is this: the apple don't fall far from the tree. And all the people that got into office, Maxine and all the other black senators and state representatives, they got into office. Bobby Rush, the gangbanging brothers, all of them, they got into politics because politics was where the money was at. Jesse set the tone for that too. You can be a politician, but make sure you get paid. So they did create avenues for other blacks to get in political position, but the people that we put into office didn't do jack for the black community, just like Jesse. So tell me, to the American people and patriots across this country watching this show, we had more black leaders coming in the 90s and the 2000s, just like we got all the black leaders here in 2026. If we got all this black power, why is the black community in the condition that it's in, Dre?
Me being the person that focuses on immigration, I would say that immigration is part of that problem. We have too much of it. There are, of course, other problems, but when you have large number of peoples coming in from other countries, what you'll find is the problems are exacerbated by mass immigration. You can look at housing, you can look at crime, you can look at a lot of different situations. And, the cost of living is not going down. So as we start to tighten those things up, we're starting to see some improvements now. And these improvements, the president has not been getting enough credit for these improvements, from securing our border and doing the things to kind of like drive costs down. We're going to be at a net negative of people coming into the country for the first time in over 100 years. Like wow. It is crazy. So we're seeing like the exasperation of homelessness being a problem because of mass immigration and these sanctuary cities. Let's look at the state of Virginia. The state of Virginia from 2023 to 2024, 73% of their growth in population came from mass immigration.
Now, the question that I'm asking is this. We got all these black political leaders in place. Why is the black community in the condition that it's in, with no economics, homosexuality in the schools, crime is going crazy, drugs in our black community? We got migrants in the black community. Everything is going bad in the black community right now. Why are we in this condition when we got all these black people in office who are supposed to fix these things, who that was elected in office to make the black community better, Doc?
Well, it's intentional. We were never supposed to still be here. Let's keep it a buck. Okay. Reconstruction after Reconstruction, and everybody was released from prison. I'm talking about the Confederate Army that had been in prison. They were fully pardoned. We were supposed to not be here. Okay. They've been trying to eradicate us since Reconstruction, but we're still here. They're using the LGBTQ community to make sure that there are no families, that there is no reproduction. We have the highest. How are we 13% of the population, which I don't think that's a real number, but anyway, how do we have the most abortions in the country?
58 million since
we have the lowest birth rate, and we're the lowest percentage, and we're still at the bottom economically. To Andre's point, it is intentional. Okay. It's not unintentional. There are black faces in high places to give us the appearance of leadership. They are not there to lead us anywhere. They're there to lead us over a cliff, right to our demise, if we allow it. Now that's the stopping point. If we continue to allow it, some people are just going to need to be called out to the carpet. All Democrats, you are not here for us.
And I'm glad what you said about allowing, because it made me think of something else. There are these street vendor businesses in California and other states where they have mass immigration. and there was an article written about him that there are different rules for Americans doing the same thing than illegal immigrants. And one of the things, one of the places where my mind went initially was, shame on the legislatures for allowing that to happen and make money off of Americans and create all this red tape. But I was also like, shame on Americans for funding and supporting these businesses. And, because it is, we're allowing it to happen. If we stop supporting these vendors, they wouldn't come to the United States because they know they wouldn't be able to make a living here. They would know that like in China, they don't do stuff like that.
Exactly.
They don't do stuff. They don't buy other products from other countries. They are very strict about keeping their alliance to their country. But we have, it's all about the dollar. How can I get it cheaper?
So my thing is, and I'm gonna say this, and then we're gonna play a clip of Jesse. We gonna get out of here. How's it to the American people and patriots across this country that everybody can come in the black community and make money? The Jews came in and they got rich off the black dollar. They bought up property and stuff. Then the Orientals came in. They got their niche and made sure that they could drain the black dollar out with the hair and the nails. Everybody got a certain area that they wanted to make money out the black community, and they did.
Yep.
Then the Sand Negroes came in. Blah, 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 blah. They got every store, every hotel, the gas stations, the shops, everything, the Ma and Pa stores in the black community. Everybody has come in. Now, we ain't gonna forget the Brown. The Brown come in. They don't need no licenses to get the trucks like you need a license. Jay, if you're a citizen, you got to get a sanitation license. You got to get food license, service license.
Yep.
You got to pay all of these things.
License.
All of that. Black people have to go through so much red tape to open a business in their own community. And then here come dude selling tacos, selling enchiladas in the black community. They bring in trucks, they bring in the little push things. But I guarantee you this, black people, you do not see one black truck in the white community. You ain't gonna see one black truck in the Oriental community. You ain't gonna see one black business in nobody else's neighborhood, but everybody come into the black community and get rich off of us. And the black leaders like Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, the political leaders, all them Negroes that we got, that's supposed to be for the black community, but allowing the black community to die. Why aren't they, since they fought to get into these positions, why aren't the black leadership in this country making sure that the black community has economics? The black community is mothers and children ain't dying out there. Why aren't the black leadership in Black History Month? Why aren't they crying about?
They're not black. Okay, they're not Negroes. Let's just keep it a buck. They're not lineaged to this.
But just made the way for them. Just
brown.
Just open the door for them to make it better for black people. Now, my question again to those watching the show: what did Jesse Jackson do to make the quality of the black community better? What has he done?
Okay, that's fair. Sorry. Nothing. He had great speeches, great marches, but nobody saw the benefits of those marches or the speeches because they did not actually delve into action. There were great words. People put, little projects together, but then they fizzled out because there was no funding, because it was never about building us up. It was about throwing trinkets our way to make us be quiet.
Exactly.
Okay. And keep staying asleep. Stay in your slumber, black people, and let everybody pillage off of you. We are a $1 trillion community.
Yes.
More than 1 trillion. I'm just saying, I'll just put it. That's how much money people make off of us annually. And they get mad when black people want them out of our community. They're the first ones to holler, we don't care where you go. Wherever your people are, that's where you should be.
Exactly.
And leave us alone.
And leave us alone.
Okay.
That's my thing. I'm going to play this clip, guys, and get your thoughts on it. Then we're going to get out of here.
Uh-oh. Can't
Sound's
hear it.
not there. There's no sound.
It should be.
Sound. Nope. We've got movement. But no sound. Sorry.
It's leader and friend.
There we go.
I have a dream. We've been up the rough side of the mountain together. And so in these dark days, we need a light. And God will comfort us in a time of trouble.
He was a messenger of hope, continuing the work of his fellow civil rights leader and friend.
I have a dream.
Reverend Jesse Jackson joined the cause with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in 1965, while Jesse was still in college.
The dream is tough to realize. He would often use the analogy of going up a mountain. You're going this way and you see this light. You keep going, it gets dark. But don't stop, because when you keep going, you become higher.
They protested together, most notably during the Selma to Montgomery March, and in 1968, on the day Dr. King was assassinated, Jesse was by his side.
I asked him, I said, Dr. King, do you hear me? Dr. King, do you hear me? And he didn't say anything.
Years later, Jesse's fight took him to Hollywood, where he shined a light on the lack of racial diversity in TV, movies, and behind the scenes. In 1996, his group, the Rainbow Coalition, organized a protest of the Oscars when just one black person was nominated. E.T. was there when he participated in the 2007 writer's strike.
Reverend Jackson, the importance of you being here today.
This is part of a larger struggle for the dignity and protection of workers in the country today.
We must share together in the American dream.
His advocacy earned him a lot of famous allies, including Halle Berry, Jay Leno, Eddie Murphy, Kobe Bryant, Whitney Houston, Magic Johnson, Michael Jackson, and Oprah Winfrey.
Oprah is such a complete person with an unfolding dream of lifting people up.
And just like Oprah, preaching a positive message was important to him, even during his cameos on network TV.
I must be respected. I am God's child. I may have been born in the slum, but the slum was not born in me. I can rise above my circumstance. Entertainment is a medium through which much of the message can be transmitted.
In 1984, Jesse made history by becoming the second African American to mount a nationwide presidential campaign. He ran again in 1988, but didn't get enough votes to secure the nomination, but he stayed resilient, a trait he formed in childhood after being born into poverty to an unwed mother. She got pregnant at just 16 by a much older married neighbor, and Jesse witnessed her get shamed by her own church.
She had to leave the choir, bring me down front to the altar and apologize for my birth. But something within me said we could change our condition.
Others believed in him too, including the father of another icon who took Jesse under his wing when he decided to become a minister.
Rita just said you all grew up together.
Well, we really did. We grew up together. That is
Right.
why we did grow up together.
And grew up together.
And I felt blessed because really, I was in some sense adopted in her family by her father, who embraced so many of the young ministers of our generation.
And because of that relationship, Jesse became a Grammy winner in 1989 for a track on Aretha Franklin's gospel record, One Lord, One Faith, One Baptism.
I'm grateful and pleasantly surprised, but the real honor should go to Aretha Franklin. Aretha Franklin. It was Aretha's idea. She is the reason why I got a Grammy.
All right, guys, y'all last words on this. Your last words on it. Doc, what you think?
Well, I'm glad that there were some good moments, because when you leave this world, you don't know how people are going to remember you, good, bad, or indifferent. But I'm glad we can talk about him in totality, because there is no one good but God alone. Okay. We all have faults, right?
Yes.
But we can only do the best we can by the individuals that we live by while we are on this earth and make the impacts that we can make. And with that said, definitely check out the USA Redemption Party. We are looking for candidates to be servants of the people. And I hear that more and more, that the people out there, they want servants of the people, not politicians. So definitely check us out at usaredemptionparty.com.
Dre, your last thoughts?
I think Dr. Nichols said it perfectly. I'm not going to add too much more to it. I think we should just wrap up right there. I really like that he made an appearance on Sesame Street. I did not.
Oh yeah. Guys, I want to thank for y'all coming on the show, man. It's always a pleasure. Dre, you got there late, but I enjoy your input.
Thank you.
Guys, we'll be talking maybe tomorrow, Friday, whatever day y'all want to get together. We can do it again. There's so much to talk about.
Absolutely.
And remember, the American people need to know the truth. We'll talk to you real soon. Have a good evening. Folks, I want to thank y'all for tuning in. And like I said, my condolences goes out to Jesse Jackson Jr. I know the family well. I grew up with the family. But I keep it 100%. I know Reverend Jackson real well, and it's a tragedy that he died and left the Black community in this mess. These are my last words to the American people and patriots across this country. It ain't what you say, and it's not what you project. Faith without work is dead, and work without faith is dead. To the American people and patriots across this country, the answer to the reason why the Black community, even though we've had a great leader like Jesse and we got Al Sharpton waiting to take his place, so everybody filling the void. We don't need one or two great leaders. We need the American people to be the leaders in control of our own destiny. To my Black colleagues, we can already see. And again, my question is to those watching this show, what did these great leaders who had the charisma, who cried when Barack Obama was president when there had already been other Black presidents, with all these great politicians and Black politicians in office who are making millions of dollars, giving good speeches like Barack Obama, 8 years in office. Well, he took the mantle from Jesse, because Jesse was part of the LGBT group. That's why it was called the Rainbow Coalition. To Black people, it was never about making sure that the Black communities could survive. It was about how much money that I can make off the Black community and not do a damn thing. Jesse, you will be missed by those who played into the game with you and that you helped them get money and get paid. You basically separated the Black community because you created a bunch of elite Negroes who took a play out of your book, and once they got into office, they did nothing to rebuild the Black community. And so those who say, well, Pastor, he did this and did that. And I'm sure it benefits some people. But as a whole, my question again to you, why is the Black community, in our community, there's no Black business, no economics? Why in the Black community that our schools are they're not even learning places where our kids can know anything? Why is the Black community riddled with crime? Why is it the drug problem? Why is it child trafficking? Because I would say this, just as I'm waiting right now from a call from the White House to find out if we can get a bill passed to repeal the 94 crime bill and get all those Black men and women out of prison who are sitting there with commute C numbers. Where is the support from Jesse to say 10 or 15 years ago, we need to empty the jails, we need to repeal this bill? Why haven't Al Sharpton came from New York and said, you know what, there's so many Black people that are unjustly in prison, we need to get them out? Why didn't Jesse say, no, there will be no migrants that will come into the black community. Where's Al Sharpton? And a lot of people are going to honor Jesse, and he should be. He made some changes. But the only changes he made was going from a poor Negro to a rich one. He never made any strong changes in the black community, but he did the same thing Black Lives Matter did. Used the black community to make millions of dollars to build his name up and to build his family up, who also became crooks as well. His son, Jesse Jr., was jailed for embezzlement. The brewery of Budweiser was shut down because it couldn't run because Yosef was on drugs. All the things and opportunities that Reverend Jackson had to create a better quality of life for the black community. My question again to you, black folks, did he make a change in our lives? God bless you. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Y'all have a good evening. And remember, let's do it again.